Good evening from the Standard Group Center here in the Kenyan capital, Nairobi. This is Choice 2017 here on KTN News. And tonight we are discussing the Narok County politics after two big events earlier today. First one was the Governor Samuel Tunai launching his re-election bid. Of course, his bid to retain his gubernatorial seat of Narok in Narok town. At the same time, the Narok West Member of Parliament, Patrick Tutu, has since decided he will be seeking to take Tunai home, also launched his bid to be on the ring on the 8th of August 2017. That is what we focus on tonight, the battle for Narok. My guests, some of them are already here. I have Dismas Mokua, political analyst, here with me at the Standard Group Center to try and put perspective on this issue. Also joining us live from our Kisumu studio is governance and strategy expert Dr. Walter Ongeti. Will also be helping us dissect the battle for Narok, the politics of the county of Narok, in a bid for both sides of the political decide to try and have a piece of Maasai land politics. Also joining us later on the program will be senatorial aspirant in the county of Narok, Ledama Olekina, to just and give us the insider's position in these issues. Many thanks for joining us. Choice 2017 begins right now. I'm Ben Kitili. Let's start with those events in Narok, first with what the governor in command, that is of course Samuel Tunai, had to say as he was launching his re-election bid in Narok. Let's listen in.
Sisi ni watumishi wenu na leo tuko hapa kusema ya kwamba tukiwa kaunti ya Narok, chama ambaye naongozwa na Mheshimiwa Uhuru Kenyatta na Deputy President William Ruto ndio chama ambaye inatawala katika kaunti yetu ya Narok. Kweli ama sio kweli? Kweli ama sio kweli? Wananchi, mnajua inafika wakati ambaye lazima isemekane ukweli. Serikali ya Uhuru na serikali ya kaunti ambaye mimi naongoza hapa Narok, wakati tulichukua hatamu mwaka wa 2013, nyinyi wananchi mnajua vile Narok ilikuwa wakati ule na wakati huu. Si namna hiyo? Tukiwa serikali ya kaunti, tukianza hapa Narok town, wakati nimechukua hatamu kuwa gavana, maji hapa town kulikuwa na chini ya lita milioni 1 kwa siku. Kwa sasa hivi watu ya Narok town mnapata milioni 5 lita ya maji kila siku. Kweli ama sio kweli? Kweli ama sio kweli? Mnajua kwamba tulisema tunataka Narok iwe 24-hour economy. Na mpaka sasa sisi tukishirikiana na serikali kuu, mnajua kuna street lights na sasa wananchi wanaweza fanya biashara yao bila shida yoyote. Kweli ama sio kweli? Mnajua pia ya kwamba mahali ya mabarabara vile ilikuwa kabla sijachukua hatamu, serikali ya kaunti inaongoza. Mnajua ile mabarabara ambayo mmetengeneza hapa town. Kweli ama sio kweli? Na ya mwisho hapa town, mnaona hii stadium ambayo iko hapa. Wakati tulichukua hatamu, hii stadium ilikuwako? Haikuwako, si namna hiyo? Pia katika sekta ya afya, mnajua ya kwamba serikali ya kaunti iliajiri health workers zaidi ya 400 ambaye wako katika kila wodi, kutoka Olpusumoru mpaka Loita, mpaka uende huko Naikara, mpaka Suswa, mpaka uende huko Transmara, Emuru wa Dikir, sehemu yote tuliweza kuajiri health workers ambaye wameweza kuboresha afya ya wananchi ya Narok. Si ni kweli? Mnajua vile tumefanya dispensaries, mnajua health centers, mnajua hii referral hospital yetu ambaye serikali kuu tukishirikiana sasa tuna dialysis machine, radiology, hiyo mambo yote ambayo ilikuwa lazima twende referral Kenyatta National Hospital ama huko Eldoret, sasa inafanyika hapa Narok. Jameni, siyo ni maendeleo?
Narok Governor Samuel Ole Tunai, they are presenting his case to the Narok people as he was launching his re-election bid in Narok County earlier today. Our senior political reporter, Chris Tairo, was following things for us and now joins us live on the phone from Narok. And Chris, you have been following this throughout the day. You have also been keeping an eye on the South Rift in general. What can you tell us about what happened as those two big political events took place earlier today?
Well, Ben, what I can tell you is that already politicians here in Narok County have already started strategizing on how they are going to start their campaigns ahead of the August 8th general elections. And today's event by Ole Tunai was a launch that symbolized his beginning of his campaigns for his re-election bid in Narok County. But of course, we can't forget that on the other hand, we have Narok West Member of Parliament Patrick Ntutu, who has already now decided to unseat Governor Tunai on a Chama Cha Mashinani party ticket. And of course, today they were in Suswa, just trying to show also that might that they also can organize a rally parallel with Governor Tunai's function. And of course, we also know that come the 30th of this month, Joseph Musoni will also be launching his bid under the ODM party ticket. And what I can tell you, Ben, I can confirm that since there are no other politicians who are coming out to challenge these three gentlemen, one on a Jubilee ticket, the other on a Chama Cha Mashinani ticket, and the other on an ODM party ticket, then it's given that they will get a direct nomination ticket and that their names will finally be at the ballot come the 8th of August general elections.
Chris, mentioning Patrick Ole Ntutu, what is the entry of the National Super Alliance, NASA, in the South Rift, especially in Narok? How has it been received? Ole Ntutu did defect to CCM and not really the opposition, NASA. How has NASA been received in the South Rift?
It has been interesting here, Ben, because I remember 2 weeks ago I attended a function by Patrick Ntutu where he was officially being received by Governor Isaac Ruto, who is the party leader of Chama Cha Mashinani. And in that function, the Baringo Senator Gideon Moi, who is also the KANU chairman, was also in that meeting. And we remember that a few days before that function, we saw KANU coming out saying that they will be supporting the re-election of President Uhuru Kenyatta. Interesting is that even today, we didn't have any signs that Chama Cha Mashinani will either be supporting the re-election of President Uhuru Kenyatta or they will be supporting NASA. And for now, they are just sending those mixed signals. It's yet to be seen whether they will finally state their stand on whether they will be supporting the re-election of President Uhuru Kenyatta or they will decide to remain in the opposition. These are just some of the things that we'll be looking out, even as we know that the Governor Isaac Ruto has associated himself heavily with the opposition leaders. Remember that the first rally that NASA held was in Bomet County and hosted by Isaac Ruto, where they actually they criticized the Jubilee government for corruption and tribalism and all manner of issues. And from there, people really said that CCM and KANU might have joined NASA. But what we know is that KANU has already made their stand known, but Chama Cha Mashinani is still sending the mixed signals, Ben.
Thank you, Chris. Chris Tairo, they are joining us live on the phone from the county of Narok. He has been keeping an eye on things there the whole day. Chris and Jeff Kirui are our men in the South Rift, which they shall continue to analyze the politics there in the run-up to the 2017 August 8th general election. Speaking of which, he has told us that it is a three-horse race. Let's see what happened in Suso, the historic Suso grounds, where the Narok West Member of Parliament, Patrick Ole Ntutu, was also having a big rally to also launch his gubernatorial race. Let's listen in.
Sisi wa viongozi wa Narok leo tumekuja hapa Suswa, na kama vile mnajua Suswa ni pahali ambao ni holy ground. Wale wengine ambao wamezoea kukula mali yetu ya Narok County leo walikuwa na launching yao Narok Stadium. Nyinyi wananchi, mumewahi kusikia ati mtu ako kiti ana launch? Iko kweli? Kwa historia sisi hatujaiona, lakini leo wametumia karibu milioni ya 50 ama 100 ati waweze kulaunch kulaunch kusema ya kwamba Governor Tunai arudie kiti. Mtakubali? Mtakubali?
Na hiyo nafasi nataka kuambiwa inashikwa na mwenyewe ako huko, ametuletea city race. Ametuletea nini? Ametuletea nini? Mimi nimetoka Jubilee moja kwa moja. Niko chama cha mashinani. Kuhakikisha maendeleo imekuja mashinani.
Kwa nini mahospitali zijengwe Narok? Na Narok ndio imeleta pesa nyingi sana kwa tourism Kenya hii. Kenya mzima inategemea Narok mara kwa mambo ya revenue ya Kenya. Kwa nini watu wa Narok bado wanaumia na umaskini tele? Na huko Nairobi wanaendelea kusema kila kitu ni sawa. Ni sawa kweli?
Ole Ntutu launching his gubernatorial campaign at the historic Suso grounds. It is a 3-horse race in Narok. Narok considered as the heart of Maas Island politics. That is what we are speaking about tonight. And we have Walter Ongeti. Dr. Walter Ongeti will be joining us live from our Kisumu studio, governance and strategy expert, and our political analyst, Dismas Moko. Also, Ledama Olekina, senatorial aspirant for Narok, will be joining us later on in the program. Dismas, what is your take on what happened today? Narok, how is Narok, presented? Is it NASA or is it Jubilee? What do you see happening in the next 4 or so months?
For the Narok case, it's very too close to call. I'm privy to an opinion poll which was done 2 weeks ago. But this one, it was focusing on the presidential candidates. And when you look at NASA and Jubilee, it's almost 50-50. But when you look at Narok today and what is likely to determine the outcome of the election, largely is going to be the political party. And Jubilee is very strong in Narok today. And the contradiction is that while the political party is strong, the people do not have much support for President Kenyatta. And when you look at the dynamics, it seems to me that the people of Narok for the longest time were not happy with the status quo, because the Ole Ntutu family, largely speaking, have actually been running the show for a long time. Right. And Governor Ole Tunai took advantage of the fact that he came from a small clan. And even right now, one would see his election strategy as trying to mobilize everybody who is anti-Purko. So it's been able to mobilize the small clans within the Ma community resident in Narok, and also taking advantage of the historical Jubilee supporters. So he's looking at the...
Purko is the largest clan.
Yeah, it's the largest clan, yeah. And he's now looking at the Kikuyu community in Narok, which obviously is going to vote for Jubilee. And he's also trying to look at the Kipsigis community. Right. Because even in the last election, despite the fact that he comes from a minority community, he was able to bring together the small clans and also get the Kipsigis, or rather the Kalenjin, and the Kikuyu. And he's also working on the other smaller clans.
All right, maybe we can join this conversation on Narok County politics by answering our Twitter poll question. We're asking which are the issues that will be determining the politics of the county of Narok. Text us what you think. Tweet us at Ben_Kitili. At KTN News, the hashtag is Choice2017. Now, Dr. Walter Ongeti, in 2013 in the elections, it was split almost right down the middle, with Raila Odinga carrying the day, slightly more than around 20,000 votes, slightly more than President Uhuru Kenyatta. But the parliamentary seats, most of them went to Jubilee affiliate parties, most of them URP. Now, which side is Narok leaning from where you sit?
Thank you so much, Ben, for having me on the show. I'm looking forward to just seeing how Narok will unfold. But as it sits today, I think it is still 50-50. You recall that in 2013, Raila had 50.25 or thereabout % out of the 235 registered voters, and that number has now gone up to around 347,000. And so we are likely to see that kind of scenario still play out. But what will be more interesting and just related to what came out today is that related to where Tunai actually chose to launch his campaign in the middle of Narok town. And all those issues he was mentioning are the issues that have been raised by the residents of Narok. The Narok residents have been concerned that they have not been seeing the development in the town. There have been concerns of exclusion. There have been concerns of lack of infrastructure. And so he was able to bring that out in a bid to sort of just clear his name. Perhaps if that works for him, it is something that we'll wait to see. For the two candidates, that is Musuni and Ntutu, these, as Dismas puts it, come from the larger clan of the Purko, and these are going to really split the vote. And if they go, both of them, to the ballot, and then the numbers, as Dismas has elaborated, would play in favor of both President Uhuru Kenyatta and also the candidate who will be Tunai. And remember again, if Chama cha Mashinani is going to make a decision to back President Kenyatta, and then it is likely that the Ntutu votes will also lean towards President Kenyatta, and so he may likely get a little bit more than what he got in 2013. All
right, apart from the issue of the clan, Daktari, the clan politics, the larger Purko, you mentioned the two candidates, the aspirants splitting the vote. What other issues that, the Narok County people care about are going to be deciding factors, according to you, in this election?
Yeah, there are several issues here. One is Narok, the Mau Narok Road, I'm aware is a road that residents have been very much concerned about. Of course, it's a national government road, and that has been an issue. The other one is the road going to the Masai Mara, that Siginani Road has been a great concern. And of course, the other issue which also came out, in fact, in that rally by the Chama cha Mashinani, relates to the revenues of the Mara. You realize that at some point, the county made a decision to bring in, I think, some banks to collect that revenue from traditionally being collected by officers of the county. And the argument was that when the resources were being collected by the officers of the county, the resources were actually finding their ways in the streets of Narok. And so somehow there was some endowment. People felt that they were having resources, there was cash flow, the economic activities were doing a little bit better than now. And this has been an issue that Governor Tunai must be able to address, because people in Narok have been asking themselves, where are the resources of the Mara? And you had these sentiments being brought out there by Governor Isaac Ruto, and I know these are some of the issues that the opponents of Ole Tunai will be bringing on the table. You also realize that this comes hot on the heels of the passing on of the de facto leader of the Ma community who came from Narok, that is Ole Ntimama. And so everybody is trying to get their space. If you see the behavior that has been manifesting around people like Ole Kenta and even the guest we are waiting for, everybody is trying to sort of just pick up that position to sort of replace Ole Ntimama. But finally, there is also an issue here, Ben, related to land. You just seen a week ago some protests around settling some community within Narok, and people in some areas, that is the Narok North area, are still concerned that they are sort of getting people who are not locals to settle in that land, and they feel like that issue of land has not been dealt with very, very well. So those are the issues playing out in Narok politics.
All right, a summary of the issues. Dismas, the issue of land, how big is it going to be in Narok? It has been a perennial issue in both Narok and Kajiado, but how big is it going to be in this election? Actually,
land is going to be a big issue, and probably it will affect Ole Tutu a negative manner, because his family stands accused of having grabbed 4,000 acres that was meant for the locals, and they took it in their possession. And I understand there's still a case up to the Supreme Court, so people are waiting for the outcome. That would be a big issue. But more important, outside land, it's the economic opportunities created by the various leaders. When you look at the story of Ntimama and Ole Ntutu, for the longest time, the way the revenues have been managed from the national parks within, the money, as Dr. Ngeta has indicated, found its way. There was a lot of pilferage of the local resources, and the revenues were not accounted in a solid manner. And when Governor Tunai took over, he decided to streamline that, and a number of tenders and contracts were cancelled. And if you recall, there were so many cases going all the way to the High Court and even to the Court of Appeal, and others to the public procurement regulatory agencies. All of them were reversed in favor of the county government of Narok. And on that, Tunai scored huge. But more important would be whether or not Tunai is able to communicate his success. And like most of the governors we have, a number of them have done very good projects in their counties, while a number of them again score A's in impunity, mediocrity, and corruption. But the challenge for Tunai is, he seems to be a very reserved man. He's done so many things, including hospitals and roads, but for some reason, he doesn't want to come out and communicate success.
Is he going to suffer what, according to pundits, many other governors are going to suffer? That they are the first batch of governors. Most of them are, a lot of them are not politicians, and they don't know how to communicate what they have done. Hence, they'll be facing a lot of stiff challenges from their opponents. So a lot of them a lot of them, including tonight, be hounded out of office because of this so-called, the first batch hasn't performed very well. There's all these issues from the Auditor General. Is Tunai going to suffer from that?
Well, I think the biggest tragedy for Tunai had been that even before he was sworn in, he was actually, his matter was presented to the High Court. That some people wanted to stop him. So he spent a good part of his 50% of his administration trying to go through the court cases. But as soon as he was done with that, then he started embarking on these development projects, which is done very well. If you spend a few days within Narok, you would be happy with what is done, especially on the street lighting. Because I use the road regularly on my way to the village, and you see a lot of economic activities. But now he has a unique opportunity for the next 4 months to go from one clan to the other and display his economic success. And he would be advised to go look for a scorecard and really tell people what he's been able to do, while he's focusing on the clanism. Because if anybody tells you that a clan doesn't work in Narok, they'll be lying. And I suspect that Ole Tunai is very happy when Purukos come up to come and oppose him. And if I were in his position, I'd probably sponsor another 10 more members of Puruko so that they can split his votes. So that's the first issue. And then the second issue, for the longest time, he's been accused of not being his own man, that he's been standing on the shoulders of the deputy president as well as President Kenyatta. And when I heard that this rally was going to take place today, I was not sure whether or not the president was actually going to attend, or the deputy president. Right. So the fact that he did this rally on his own without the benefit of the president or his deputy, he earns some mileage. But what he must take care of is allegations that during his administration, he has sidelined the Puruko community and worked in favor of the small clans. And of course, maybe he considers that to be strategic, and also the Kikuyus, as well as the Kipsigis within his county.
Away from tonight, Daktari, the Narok West MP, Patrick Ole Ntutu, what is his play in this gubernatorial race? What does he offer the people of Narok from where you sit?
I think he comes on the table with, first of all, the brand name, the Ntutus. And of course, then just where he comes from, that is the Narok southern part, may have informed even the choice of the party, that is Chama cha Mashinani, because that area is also occupied largely by the Kalenjin community, and so he thought, because it's again next to Bomet County, it borders Bomet County, is able to benefit from that. So he would be perhaps bringing on the table, beginning with the brand name and followed by that community and of course his own neighborhood there and the clan perhaps. I've also seen he's enlisted some of the children of the late Ntimama, like Lydia, and so perhaps they will also be supporting his campaign along that line. And if he is able to pitch perhaps the criticisms of the Tunai regime and package them very well, then perhaps that will be able to drive his campaign to the next level. However, you have to also realize that one other contender in the 2013 elections, that was Olenchoe, is now the managing director of Geothermal Development Corporation, and he has already declared his support for the incumbent Olen Tunai. So that would also be a great challenge for Olen Tutu.
Right.
And of course, Olen Tutu then would have to work beyond the norm, because fighting an incumbent and somebody of deep means and resources such as Tunai would be a very uphill task.
All right.
Secondly, I think it is an historical function of background of Ole Tunai, having worked in the security docket. He has created very deep networks. He's able to collect information. He's able to interact very well with the different areas which may add value to him. So Ntutu comes on the table at a very disadvantaged position, again, given that they are sharing their pitch together with Musuni. So unless the Chama cha Mashinani and NASA are able to compromise a candidate between Tutu and Musuni, I see a scenario where Tunai will be able to go through almost with around 60%.
Dismas? Olen Tutu.
Yeah, maybe before we look at Olen Tutu specifically, there was a research done by Chifa Research, by Maggie Reri, about current members of the National Assembly as well as the Senate who would like to run for governorship. And the results were a bit surprising. If you use Siaya as an example, where James Orengo wants to run, when you look at the people likely to win, you have the current governor as number one, and then you have William Modul number two, then you have Nicholas Gumbe, who is an MP, as number three. Then there's a big gap which is undecided, and then you have James Orengo. But if you go back to the Senate, 87% of the respondents said they would actually vote for him. And it cuts across. It seems to me that anybody who is serving today in the Senate or the National Assembly and wants to run for a gubernatorial seat, it would be at all order. Probably the only exception would be Jamlek Kamau in Muranga, because the difference between Wairia and Jamlek was about 12 percentage points.
All right.
But now when you come to Olen Tutu, he's got a very strong brand, and everybody within the community knows him. But now the brand comes with liabilities, because these people and the Timama family are seen to be the prime beneficiaries of all the land in Narok, to the exclusion of the other people. And then, when I was in Narok not long ago, people were beginning to ask that Olen Tutu is a lawyer. He's been serving at the National Assembly. But people do not remember him for having coming up with any piece of legislative framework or agenda which shocked anybody. No. Actually, people have not heard him speak in the National Assembly.
So that could work against him.
That could work against him.
All right. You're watching Choice 2017 here on KTN News. Many thanks for staying with us. We're taking a quick commercial break. When we return, we take a look at the political parties that are at play in the county of Narok. There is Jubilee, of course. There is Chama cha Mashinani. There is KANU. How is this all going to play out in the next 4 months or so? Stay with us.